Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. I'm Andrew, and with me, as always, my friend, your next best friend, Mr. Dale Baker. How we doing?
Hey, good to be back. Good to be back. But man, 2-0. Here we go.
Hey, you can't start any better than that. And against the schedule we had to start the season,
Yeah.
man, pretty good. So,
Yeah.
this episode will be dissecting this game against the Bengals. Hey, asking the question, do the Chiefs have their long-term left tackle on their roster?
Oh,
And what is up with all these turnovers we have, and what does the future look like without a Pacheco? We're going to get into all that and more right here in the Kingdom Corner, so stick with us.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
All right, Dale. So the Chiefs beat the Bengals in another nail-biter thriller down to the end. As I heard one person say on X, they beat the Ravens by a toe, and now they just beat the Bengals by a toe, or with a toe, so to speak.
it doesn't matter how you win. We just got to stack up those W's.
That's right. It's all that matters. So, I mean, I remember last year, I don't know how many games in, but a few games in, we were both starting to question, like, how far can these Chiefs really go? Do they really have what it takes?
Yeah, we were asking the question: Can they win a playoff game? I think was the question, and so for sure we had complete confidence, never a doubt with the Kansas City Chiefs, and so we're going we're going for the three-peat. But there are some concerning things that we're going to get into today about the Chiefs offense, and even the defense sometimes looks worn out.
Yep, absolutely. So we got to keep in mind, though, as we probably will mention several times in this episode, we're only 2 games in, and this team's going to get better throughout the season, just like every other team.
Right.
But with that said, let me ask this. I asked this to Tyson last time, but I'll ask you too. Do you think it's important for starters and or your superstars to get playing time in the preseason games?
Yeah, appreciate Tyson for covering me as I was away, and so shout out to him. But yeah, so I think it is important to get just those reps, and I think a lot of teams are what they're going to, which the Chiefs have not gone to yet, but the joint practices, and I think that's where they're getting a lot of their reps against other players and things like that, where it's a controlled environment. Hey, we can work on this 15 times or 10 times. Whatever it would be. But yeah, I think it's important that the Chiefs or that the players, superstars and players get reps because it's a totally different vibe going into a preseason game than it is a live action. Like, hey, we're working on this cover 2 shell, zone thing. And so yeah, I think it's more important for offensive linemen and defense than it is offensive players, I'd say. What do you think?
Would you say, just following up with what you said, would you say that if they have a joint practice with another team that they don't have to play in the games?
No.
Preseason games?
No, because I think we've seen that where it doesn't work either.
Yeah.
Right.
I would agree with that. I think those games are important for those starters just to knock the rest off, so to speak. And I'm not saying they should play the whole game or even half a game, but they should do a series or 2 at least in well, maybe not the last game, but at least the first 2 games, at least a couple series. And one of those games, they need to do a whole quarter. You can take your pick of which one you want it to be, but they need to get that game flow because there's nothing like a game flow situation, nothing like actually hitting people and getting hit that kind of gets in practice. Sure, you're hitting a little bit, but you're not really hitting like you are in a game. And so you got to get some of that into your system and remind you again, like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to hit someone or to get hit. And then, I think those teams that don't do that, you can see that they are usually the ones that start off really slow. And as we were seeing this year, we're starting our season off against 2 teams with the Ravens and Bengals, who might be the 2 teams that we're competing for the number 1 seed by the end of the season. So these first games are going to potentially be very meaningful by the end of the season.
Oh, yeah. And right now we have the tiebreaker against both of them.
Yeah.
And I think also you just look at Andy Reid's success in September. And I know we don't win a Super Bowl in September, but, you look at his success in September. I mean, he has his players, they're ready. They usually go 4-0 in September. And because their teams is ramped up and ready to go. And so shout out, this credit to Andy Reid for getting them going and getting them right.
Yep. And it has long been said that he has one of the toughest training camps of any NFL team. And I
Yeah.
think that mixed with playing some of his guys in the preseason games are the things that set them up for success to start the
Right.
season versus some of these other teams.
Well, I think I even heard an interview with Tom Brady where he said he wanted to play in the preseason. Like he wanted to get in there. And so I think like some of the greats do want to play and get the rest off. And I know you can get hurt and injured and it's a throwaway game and it means absolutely nothing, but also it just gives you those extra reps with your guys on live action and then coming into the huddle with crowd noise and things like that. So I think it is beneficial for sure.
Yeah. All right. So about this game with the Bengals. So we got to start with some of this offense because some of these things look good and some of the things didn't look so good. And so one of the things that was pointed out over and over, and you didn't even have to have something point out to you, you could have watched it and seen it, our rookie left tackle, Kingsley, I hope I don't butcher his last name, Sumantaya.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a tough assignment against Hendrickson there. I mean, that would have been a tough assignment for a veteran player, and getting your second start ever in the NFL, and not just in the NFL, but just second start as a pro, right? Just first year in the league and having to go against that is a tough assignment. So eventually in the game, there in the fourth quarter, he got pulled out, and Wanye Morris, the second-year player out of OU, came in there.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's third year now. But anyways, he came in there and he did slightly better, but still had his own issues with Hendrickson. And so my question is, do the Chiefs have their long-term left tackle on their roster?
Yeah, I think they do. I think that the kid is that rookie is going to be okay. He just like Andy Reid talking about in his press conference. He kind of just need to get his head straight and just kind of slow the game down and like just learn from what happened. And so I think he'll be fine. But Henderson is a beast, and I know Andy Reid and Pat at the press conference after the game said that guy is the most underrated D end in the league, and how good he is and the motor he has on him. And so I just think, it was a tough assignment for anybody, as you just pointed out, to block him consistently. And so I just think he needed to take a step back and kind of collect himself. And there's no shame in that, I don't think.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's kind of like your welcome to the NFL moment for him, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the NFL. And so like this guy is relentless.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But speaking of left tackles, one of those guys, Wanye Morris, got a big man touchdown yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we love seeing those big men getting touchdowns. So what's not to love about that?
Wide open.
Oh, yeah. Wide open.
He was wide open, and Travis Kelce was wide open. And, so that was a beautiful play. And I'm glad he caught it. Sometimes when you get that wide open, you get there's no way,
Yeah.
There's no way I can
guys
mess
that
this
are
up.
300 pounds or more scoring touchdowns. That is a good thing.
Yes, it is.
I think when that happens, all the offensive linemen are celebrating with them as if they got the touchdown as well, because it just doesn't happen very often at all. So that was really cool to see. But continue with the offense here. And so we've seen in this game with Burrow, the last game against Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
When it comes down to the end, like Mahomes is making plays and these other quarterbacks are not. Do you think there's anything to that?
Oh, yeah. I think the pressure gets to people. And, when the lights shine brighter, I think Mahomes gets better. And so the more pressure, it seems like he gets more calm and just knows what to do with the ball and everything like that. So I think, it just, they kind of come. I don't know if this would be fair, but the other guys just kind of try to do too much instead of just staying in their ability and what they can do. And so like Burrow trying to run away instead of throw that ball away when the pocket collapsed on him, and he ended up fumbling. And so I just think, the bright lights get brighter and you kind of see who you have. And not trying to take anything from Burrow, because he is a great quarterback. When he had time, he was picking us apart. And he had a lot of time.
Yeah, and both these guys, and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, are great players. Both play very different styles and very different games, but they're both good players in the NFL. But I also think that these guys hear all the noise, and some of them hear, "Oh, you're the greatest quarterback in the league."
Right.
And some of them hear from the other side, like, "Oh, Mahomes is better than you." And they get in there and they do one of two things. They either start believing that they are better than Mahomes, but I think that more times than not, they're trying to prove to everybody that they are better than Mahomes.
Right.
They want to be, whether they are or not, they want to be, and they want to prove to everybody how much better they are. And so they might play well for most of the game even, but then it gets down to a final drive or driving the fourth quarter, and you start that pressure, like you point out, starts getting to you a little bit more, and you start trying to force things in there or missing wide open guys that you
Right.
might normally hit because you're just trying too hard to get things going. And I think that's what happens to a lot of these guys is they get to this stage and that moment, and they think Mahomes can make this pass, so can I. And so they try, and it just doesn't work out for them. And taking nothing away, that is a high pressure moment for anyone to be in. I couldn't do it. I
no. I would freak out. I'd wet my pants probably for sure. With 300-pound guys coming at you, it's a lot of pressure. And I mean, I would say the Bengals had opportunities to win that game, put that game away, and I think our defense, in those situations came up big, and big stops, big sacks, big strip fumbles. Mike Dana, man, shout out, my guy, 51, just making, just grinding. And we both have said we never played football, right? And I mean, I can't imagine being on the defensive line or offensive line. I know that those guys don't get enough credit, just play after play. I mean, sometimes these guys are playing 80 plays or 70 plays, 60 plays, and just running into each other time after time. And just the energy they're using is just wild. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. The offense again. Where's Travis Kelce been?
Well, and I heard this is a great question. Great question, because we're looking.
It is a great question.
I think we saw Taylor on the TV more than we saw Travis Kelce on the TV.
You're probably right. I will say he did have one big play that was called back.
Right,
but even so, outside of that one play, I think he had 1 or 2 catches.
Yeah. And I think Pat summed it up pretty good in his press conference. I don't know. I know probably not a lot of nerds listen to the press conference after the game like us, but we do. And he said, listen, these are two teams that know how to guard Travis Kelce and know how to take him away from us and make me go somewhere else. And so I think we'll see. Yeah. I think we'll see Travis in the Atlanta game. I think we'll see him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
yeah.
We got to remember against the Ravens and the Bengals too. These are two teams that their bread and butter for years and years and years has been their defense. That is what they are known for. They're not known for their offense. Their offense has kind of come around the last few years.
Yeah,
but they're known and have been known for decades even for their defense. So we're talking about teams that know how to play defense.
And I think I think we saw a different Joe Burrow yesterday, because he used to have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Boyd on the line. It was like, okay, who has the one-on-one matchup? And I'm going to throw to them, and Higgins was hurt and Boyd, they traded off. And so, and then Jamar Chase was the only one, and he couldn't get open for McDuffie, which I know we'll talk about in a minute, but I'm just like, I think you saw where Burrow was throwing to his tight ends. They made him, he had to play different than he normally does. And so it's going to be interesting to watch him throughout the year and see how he adjusts, because, Mahomes had not trash wide receivers last year, but just a lot of drops, a lot of mistakes that they made, and he had to overcome that. And so we'll see how Burrow overcomes this year.
So last thing about our offense, though, the thing that worries me the most, and maybe you too, is our red zone offense. It seems like every time we get down in there, we are struggling to punch it in. I mean, the very first drive, we get down to the 1 yard line even, and can't punch it in. I think we had 1st and goal from like the 3 yard line or something like that, and could not get into the end zone.
Yeah, I don't. And where I think Tony Romo, your boy, said, "Man, we got
that guy. You bring him up. I gotta say it now. You bring Tony Romo. You're probably not listening to this, but if you are, pull up a seat, please. Please, when you commentate the games, call a fair game." Right?
There you go.
All I want is you to be fair towards both teams and to be unbiased, as you should be.
Wow.
Tony Romo, as he commentates these games, it's probably likely that he's going to do another Chiefs game. He's one of CBS's top teams.
Oh, yeah.
And so you listen to him, and he's going to say things about both teams and to make it seem like he's unbiased, but you just watch how he talks about the Chiefs versus how he talks about whoever else they're playing. And you just listen, and I promise you're going to start realizing, he doesn't like the Chiefs, does he?
So
That's
anyway,
all I gotta say about that.
there you go. Tony Romo, like the Chiefs, this like them. They're
Yeah.
going to be here for the next 10 decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had said something that I thought was good, where he said, "Hey, they got to come up with a special play, or like just to get it in the end zone." That was, they're used to doing those trick plays, and they did do one where I think they got in,
With
or they
Monty
got a
Morris.
first down. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like this is a special play that was going to be like, hey, this is different. Let's line up in this formation that looks like we have 4 or 3 tight ends in the backfield, or 2 tight ends in the backfield, and the running back steal. Our fullback, I guess he's on the depth chart, and so yeah, and then they slip out and throw it to him. So I thought that was a good point to do that. But yeah, it was kind of concerning they couldn't punch that ball in 3 times. I'm surprised they didn't go for it on that 4th down and just like get it in.
I was too. I thought they were going to. You could hear the crowd on the TV even booing that they weren't. So not the decision I would have made, but
you got to take points when you get them, I guess.
I guess so. Against a team like that, especially because all those games are close. We were talking about that before. Every game that Mahomes and Burrow played against each other have been decided by 3 points or less.
Right.
And so now this was the 5th game that Mahomes and Burrow played against each other, and previously. In any game against 2 players like that, there's only been 4 games in a row that have been decided by 3 points or less. And so now with this game yesterday against Mahomes and Burrow, we now have the NFL record, if you want that record, for the most games in a row consecutively against one player that have been decided by 3 points or less.
Right. So I think probably a bunch of people lost some money yesterday with taking the Chiefs.
Yeah,
5.5, I think, or 5 it was. Yeah.
Hey, if you listen to the podcast, I told you it's going to be a 3-point game. So I was a little bit off, but I had to score 27-24. So
wow. Okay, there you go.
I was pretty close to what the Chiefs would have had 27 if they would have gone for an extra point instead of the 2-point conversion. So we were pretty close there. So
there you go. Yeah, that's a good game.
But either way, I'm just saying I knew it was going to be closer than the 5.5, 6 points.
Right.
I shouldn't say I knew, but I had a good feeling just because of how closely they always play each other.
Right.
So, but let's jump to the defense real quick. Let's start off with the struggles, and then we'll jump into some of the good things. So the first thing is the tight ends, right? You pointed out that Burrow was hitting tight ends in the previous game against Lamar Jackson. He was hitting Likely and Andrews, I think, once. His tight ends. So our defense has got to figure out how to stop these tight ends.
Yeah, they do. And I think we're missing Willie Gay a little bit there on that, and I'll keep hitting that because of his speed. And so, but yeah, I think definitely figuring out how to stop the tight ends is going to be big coming up. And so because we play. I think one of the best are the Falcons. I mean, I know they're struggling, but they have tight ends that are good. And so I think, if we keep putting film that we can't stop them, people are going to keep using them. And tight ends are just getting better and better because of Travis Kelce and George Kittle and Gronk and Tony Gonzalez and things like that. So I think, tight ends are athletic now. They're not just blockers.
And they're proving to everybody into the guys who are growing up, even that if you're big, you can still be a pass catcher. You don't have to play line.
No.
So it's just giving them all more confidence. So far this season in 2 games, the Chiefs defense has allowed 25 catches to tight ends for 276 yards.
Wow.
And 1 touchdown. Could have been 2 touchdowns if it wasn't for a toe, but we're glad that last one was not a touchdown.
Right.
So 1 touchdown, but 52% of the team's receiving yards against the Chiefs defense is coming to tight ends.
Yeah.
Well, over half of all yards are coming to tight ends. So that's not, it's better, I guess, than getting beat over the top over and over, but still not something you want to see.
Well, I think that answers one of our questions to our corners. We had the questions about our corners. How would they hold up? How would they do? Yeah. And right now they're doing great. It's our linebackers and our safeties are not, coming through with tight ends. And I know tight ends are hard to guard because they're shifty, they're fast, but they're huge.
And they're usually a mismatch for whoever they're against.
Yeah. So they're bigger than a linebacker and faster than a linebacker normally. And then, and they're faster than a linebacker, but bigger than a safety. And so it's a tough matchup. And so.
Yeah, I do think the Spags is going to make some adjustments or something because I think he's that good of a defensive coordinator. He's going to figure out something, even if it's not going to be perfect, to at least slow that down and force teams to at least try something else.
Yeah.
And so I'm not too worried about it at this point, but if it continues this trend, I will be worried about it.
Oh yeah.
And if we were losing these games, I'd already be worried about it. So,
Yeah.
Well, I know we come out on top, I'm not so yet.
Well, I know like a team we're not going to play probably till the playoffs, but the Bills, they are going to. I mean,
we got a game against the Bills this year, bud.
Oh yeah, we do, don't we?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So November.
Right. So when we play the Bills, I mean, they've gone to a running and tight end kind of throwing offense, and so that'll be interesting.
They have to. They got rid of all their wide receivers.
They did. They did indeed. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. But yeah, the other thing is, I think getting pressure with 4 guys. I think that was a bit concerning for me yesterday. It was Burrow seemed like he had all day, unless they were blitzing. And so that's like, all right, Chris Jones, come on, man. George, we got to get Felix. I think but when and if Aminu gets back, we'll see how he does.
Yep. So, well, let's jump to some of the good things. So Jamar Chase was the player that probably everybody had their eyes on, like, man, what are we going to do to stop Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
I mean, Snead is gone. How are we going to stop this guy?
Yeah.
And Trent McDuffie said, no problem.
No problem.
Watch this.
Do you think he got a little meaner in the offseason?
McDuffie?
Yeah.
How so?
I just think like in the sense, like even after the game or after the play, he would almost like be talking trash. It seemed like last year as a rookie, rightfully so, he kind of just like made his play and then walked back to the huddle.
Well, last year's his second year, but yeah.
Because he got
hurt that first year.
He did get So, but yeah, it just seemed like he got a little meaner, a little more tough, a little more little juice on him.
I think he's taken on a lot more of that leadership role that Snead had, and so he's trying to set the tone for the other guys.
Yeah.
So that's my. At least my observation. I don't disagree with you. I think he has a little bit more mean streak to him. But you know what? Sometimes you got to show those, especially when you're playing guys like Jamar Chase, who constantly run their mouth.
No, he doesn't talk, does he?
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't. I mean, we saw that. He's running his mouth against a ref and when it stopped and got to the sideline and still when it stopped. Right? I mean, so this is a guy that's constantly running his mouth. So eventually, guys like that, when you're beating them that bad, you're going to say something back to them. So this is Jamar Chase's numbers against McDuffie. And Jamar Chase didn't have big numbers to begin with. But against McDuffie was guarding Jamar Chase on 45% of his routes. And in those routes, he only had 2 targets when covered by McDuffie. And in those 2 targets, he had 1 reception for 4 yards. That's his numbers against McDuffie.
Wow, McDuffie.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's showing up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's your guy. So, and in total, Jamar Chase had 6. I'm sorry, that was rushing, but Jamar Chase had 4 receptions for 35 yards on 5 targets.
Wow. So I mean, still a good player, but I think. When all of us kind of worried when Snead left, when he got traded to the Titans, we're like, man, who's going to step up? And McDuffie has answered the call so far.
Oh, yeah.
So that's and Brett Veach we trust, right?
That's right. So I think the thing that changed the game the most, and I don't think you disagree, is that turnover when Burrow fumbled that ball.
Yeah.
And, Connors picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. The offense has been struggling at some points to get it moving, and then when they were moving, they'd get a turnover themselves, and lose all that momentum. And so to get that scoop and score by the defense was huge, and obviously it was. We only won by a point, so
1 point. Mike Dana with Chris Jones with the pressure, Mike Dana with the follow through, and then Connors right there on money, on the spot, and scooped it up and took it in.
Yep. So speaking about turnovers, we didn't really talk about this with the offense, but do you think there's a reason behind that?
Yeah, I think I think Pat is trying to get the ball to Kelsey on that first one, and just to get him in the offense, which I understand, but he just didn't see that guy and made a bad play, and he admitted to that, and so making a bad throw, and then Steele, we got to remember he's a rookie, and so he can't carry the ball that low.
No,
because some people are
through traffic, high and tight, my man.
High and tight. Right? So you had to get that ball high, and I thought it was cool how Andy Reid threw him right back in there, like didn't lose confidence in him. I mean, because we've seen where Andy has was it LaShawn McCoy who fumbled to lose us a game. He's like, yeah, you're done.
Well, you can't blame him. Well, Sean McCoy didn't even hold the ball to his chest. He held it in his hand and would just run with it, not even trying to protect the ball. And so there's no doubt that he fumbled it. I knew he was going to fumble it at some point. I think everybody knew he was because, like, oh, this guy's easy to make fumble. You don't even have to do much. You probably tackle him. He'll drop it.
Yeah. I just know I'm glad I know your triggers, and I can just say certain players, and
oh man,
Demarcus Robinson. I mean, the greatest hands we've ever. I mean, we don't really want to talk about lockdown corners. We talk about Steven Nelson. I mean,
oh my goodness, we're so glad that guy is. Man, is he even in the league anymore? I don't
know. I thought he was like reborn in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's where he went after the Chiefs, and he lost some games for them too. So.
I think to quote you could cover better than Steven Nelson.
Oh yeah, that is my quote.
Or you could cover as good as. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I don't say better. I say I could cover as good as because I can give up touchdowns. That's why I know I can cover as good as Steven Nelson. So I might not be as close to the guy Steven Nelson is, but I can give up the touchdown and get the same result. That's all I know.
Oh man! All right,
off to those guys in the NFL.
Oh yeah, they're really, athletes. Athletes. This is all jokes, all fun.
Yeah. So I do think that Mahomes is just trying a little bit too hard on some of these, trying to will his team to be that high power offense again, and we all want to see that. I mean, my prediction to start the year was that the Chiefs were going to lead the league in offensive scoring this year. So right now they're a little behind. Got some catch up to do.
Well, the New Orleans Saints are doing that.
I mean, they're averaging like 44 points a game or something. Something crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. But two games, they have like 90-some points.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think they'll get it right. And then I think the big news, I don't know, are you done with the defense?
Oh, yeah. Let's do our player of the game first.
Oh, okay.
So, player of the game, who you giving your game ball to?
Yeah, I think that's easy. Connors, the safety. I mean, just the scuba score and then the big sack on the last drive of the Bengals. I mean, he had a huge sack that just killed that drive. And so I think him coming in and playing good was fantastic. And Spags dialing up the right time to send him. I mean, Burrow didn't see him. I mean, it was.
By the time he saw him, he had no chance.
No chance. And so, I mean, it was just perfect.
Yeah. Perfectly disguised blitz, too. Just.
Right, because they haven't.
He was coming.
Yeah, because they had been doubling Jamar Chase, and that's exactly what it looked like. And then all of a sudden, he just came like a rocket, a cannon.
Yep, we'll take it every time. Yeah, if I had to give another game ball, I'd probably give it to Pacheco. I think he was running hard. He didn't quite hit 100 yards. I think he had 90 yards.
Yeah, there you go.
But he was running hard and getting some tough yards for us. And so, I mean, I give my ball to him just pounding that ball in there over and over and over again. So, the Chiefs overall had a really great game plan going in as far as running the ball. They knew that the Bengals were suspect at least to give up a lot of plays, and so they ran for 150 yards total. The Chiefs did, so nothing wrong with that. So
no,
let's jump into Pacheco. I think that's where we're going to go next, right?
Yeah, the big news.
So the big news today, from what I've heard, is they suspect that with his leg injury, some with his fibula, that he's going to be placed on the IR. So,
oh man,
that's the latest news. We're not quite sure if it's going to be. I think on IR.
Is it 6 weeks?
I was like the minimum is either 4 or 6 weeks. I can't remember for sure, but it's probably 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And depending on how bad that break is, I mean, he was still walking on it going into the locker room, but he walked out on crutches and in a boot.
Yeah.
As we all saw. But so it all depends on that break and how bad it is and how long it's going to take to heal. But most breaks typically take 6 to 8 weeks to heal.
Right.
Depending on the break too. I mean, if it's a worse break, it could take longer. So, yeah. So, and then, we also have not a lot of depth at our running back position. Clyde Edwards-Helaire still out with a non-football related thing going on. We have the rookie in Carson Steele and a guy in Samaje Perine who's been in the building 3 weeks.
Right.
So not a whole lot of options there. So do you think the Chiefs are going to pick up another running back?
I think they're going to have to, right? Or maybe they have one. I mean, there was a couple kids maybe they have a guy on a practice squad they'll promote up, and just making the most out of their opportunity. Because what was that kid's name? Was he 34? What was that? Man, I can't remember his name, but he had a couple good preseason games, very fast. And so, yeah, I think, they're going to have to bring somebody. They're going to have to find somebody, and maybe we can get somebody on the team that will help us out until Pacheco gets back healthy and ready to go. Because I think the most important part is him healthy at the end of the season, not in the beginning of the season.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would agree. So I think the Chiefs are, if they don't call somebody up, they might sign a veteran guy that might just be sitting around too. So
yeah, what's Adrian Peterson doing?
Well, I don't know that you're going to get much from him. That guy is old.
Yes,
So,
he is.
but the
Jamal Charles, come on, get Jamal Charles back there.
The thought has been kicked around. Would the Chiefs consider bringing back Kareem Hunt?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You think they would at this point?
I would do it.
I would. I think it's been a long enough time that maybe he's learned his lesson. That he wouldn't say anything else and lie to Andy Reid and the staff again. But
we don't know. Yeah, let's go. Second chances, baby.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what all he said or didn't say to them too, though. So
I wonder how old Kareem Hunt is right now. Let's see. He would have been like 22, 23 in 2017.
Well, he was drafted the same year as Mahomes, so he is 29 years old.
29 years old. Okay,
He's same age as Samaje Perine.
Okay, yeah. Where is he still with the Browns, or is he cut?
No, I believe he's a free agent.
Oh wow, let's pick him up.
Maybe, unless I say that he probably is on the Browns. I know they were considering cutting him, but
yeah,
he probably made the roster because I think Nick Chubb was dealing with some injuries.
He got hurt big time at the end of the year. But the other big news, I think, is Hollywood Brown.
Oh yeah.
Hollywood Brown
got placed on IR.
Yeah, he's having surgery, and he probably won't be back until mid-January.
Yeah. So if he's back this season, it'll be for the late playoffs.
Right.
Maybe middle of the playoffs. We'll see, just depending. And yeah,
it'll be hard to put him in the game, and that was kind of the concern bringing him, was the fact that he was injury prone, and to stay healthy in the first catch he got hurt, and so there goes your question: do you play your starters or your role players in the preseason? Well, Andy Reid does, and so that's kind of a risk you take, but man, it looks even better to getting Juju. From picking up from him from the Patriots. So,
well, I still think that it was a good choice to get Hollywood Brown.
Oh yeah.
And I still think it's a good choice to play your players in the preseason. Still think that, but I mean, it was the first play of the first preseason game, the first snap that Hollywood Brown got hurt. It was almost just like a fluke accident. So I don't know. There's much else you could have done about that. So. But here's the last thing I want to get into for today, because,
okay,
yeah, we basically covered those injuries enough. So,
yeah, just for the record, Kareem Hunt is a free agent. Okay. on a quick Google search.
All right, there you go. Kareem Hunt is a free agent, so
there you go.
He would be available if the Chiefs wanted to go and do something like that. So with the Chiefs now being 2-0. Barely being at 2-0, but let's not lose sight of the fact that we're still 2-0 despite close games.
Yeah.
Despite good teams figure out ways to win close games.
Right. Yes.
That is something that Andy Reid has said over and over again, which is absolutely true. And I can say that now because the Chiefs have been in those close games, won Super Bowls. So I might not have agreed with him if they hadn't won a Super Bowl, but now I do.
Yeah.
So, but good teams find ways to win close games. And then we got the Bengals, who are 0-2, the Ravens, who are 0-2. So who are the teams in the AFC that we really have to look out for? Like, what is your prediction of these best teams?
Yeah, I think we got the Houston Texans. That will be good. And then I think the Buffalo, even though I said they wouldn't win 7 games, I may have changed my story because their defense looks really good and their offense looks really good. They almost look like they're a brand new team without Stephon Diggs over there. And so, yeah, Houston and Buffalo look to be the two top teams in the AFC right now. I'm trying to think if I was leaving anybody out, but no, I think those are probably the two top teams of the AFC.
Yeah, I don't think I would disagree with you. So, you have any thoughts on the Chargers, who are also 2-0?
They're fool's gold, as you say.
Right.
So I think they're not. Who have they played? Carolina and
the Raiders.
The Raiders. Yeah, come on.
I mean, I agree with you. They're 2-0, but they haven't played anybody really hard yet. So, but I do think that the Ravens and Bengals are still going to be teams you have to look out for as you move along too. But yeah, the Texans are a team that look real good right now. They got good players on both sides of the ball over there.
Right.
And they got some really good free agents that even improved on all sides of the ball too. So they even got our punter and Tommy Townsend over there. So
I know, man, that would be rough, wouldn't it? To see. I mean, but do you remember what we did to Houston last time we played them in the playoffs?
You mean when we just routed them?
And we even gave them a 24 or 26 point, 24 point lead.
24 point lead. They were up.
We spotted on 24 points. Come on.
We're winning by halftime. By the end of the game, the score would make you think it wasn't even close. So it's crazy. So hey, looking forward to watching the rest of this season and what unfolds here. So thanks for joining us this episode of the Kingdom Corner. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a review. Those are the things that help us the most and to get the word out about this. Share it with your friends. What a great place to hang out and be a part of this community. So this episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads. You can find Oh Hey Threads at ohheythreads.com. You can get yourself a Super Soft Chiefs t-shirt or even a Kingdom Corner t-shirt. They got them all covered there, as well as some hoodies and other things as well. So thanks for joining us this episode. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.